So obviously my name is Lisa Jones. Thank you everybody for dining in. Also moving on, we've got the lovely Maggie Pattison who's coming on in about 10 seconds just to tell us a little bit something about APSCo. I've been working with APSCo for a long time now. Fabulous organisation, stands for the Association of Professional Staffing Companies, and I run webinars with them and do all sorts of lovely events. So Maggie, tell us a little bit more about APSCo and why you're helping us with this webinar today.
Morning everyone, mine's a large rosé as soon as I can get out this afternoon, just to let you all know that. Heading up for a good weekend. So APSCo, we are representative of the professional recruitment industry, and as Lisa said, Barclay Jones have been affiliate members for a very long time, and we are very grateful for all of the help you give us with these webinars, which we know are a great support to many of our members. So those of you who are not members, you really should be, and those of you who are, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what's new, what's going on. Awards for excellence in October are open now for entries, so get a good look at that. Our regional business forums, meaning we're going around the country live, are really going down well. Next meetings, Scotland the 24th of June, Midlands the 7th of July, and those are in addition to the other meetings that are going on sort of throughout the months ahead. Next Sunday, the 14th, sees the Recruitment Cup Challenge, which is our very own football tournament. I think we have 60 odd 7-a-side football teams entered. It's a very fun day out, free to get in, so anybody who's not entered already, fancies a bungee jump in Twickenham, please do come online, have a look and come along and join us, all in support of the Silver Line charity. That's about it really from me. Thank you again, Lisa, very, very kind of you to put this on, and I look forward to listening in.
Thank you very much, Maggie. Right, moving on then, everyone. So obviously we are a consultancy that work exclusively with recruiters. We've worked with recruiters a long time, the Barclay and the Jones. There's now 9 of us in the business. We've had a big growth spurt in the last year. Some of the people on the line right now listening in will have worked with us before, and some are new clients, which is great, so welcome. But obviously we basically do 2 things. We help recruiters with their recruitment technology projects, so CRM, job board posting, all that lovely stuff, and boring tech as well, but we get quite excited on your behalf. And we also do social media for recruiters as well. So we're helping people understand and help recruiters understand how to best do this stuff so they get more phone and face time, because that's ultimately what your recruitment leaders want you to do. Because in their day, it was really easy, they say, she says. So obviously I'm on Twitter, and I will assume if you're a clever recruiter that you are on Twitter too, and if you are definitely a double clever recruiter, you'll be on Twitter right now, because God help you if you don't engage with me while we're on this webinar. If I can run a webinar, look at a PowerPoint presentation, drink a glass of orange juice and tweet at the same time, I'm sure you can do at least 2 of those things. So I'm Lisa Mary Jones online, that's my naughty name. And obviously we also tweet as Recruit Clever, hashtag Recruit Clever. So get used to using your hashtags, because did you know, if you put a hashtag in a tweet, you double the chances of it being engaged with. So get hashtag Recruit Clevering today. We'll be able to see what you're doing. And Vikram, my marketeer, will also be tweeting as well. And funnily enough, the guy that's saying Recruit Clever on your screens right now looks just like him. Amazing. So we've also got another webinar coming up on Friday the 26th of June. That is free to register, as is always the case when we run our webinars, but we always have limited spaces. We limit it to 100. So for those of you that obviously register with this, if we accept more than 100, you need to get in early, which is obviously, I think, adds a little bit of mystique to this. Question for you before we really start, just to get the engagement piece going, and I'm going to have a poll here where I'm going to actually ask you a question. Are you excited about the 18th of December 2015? And the poll is popping up right now. So 31% of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you cynics are like, yeah, whatever. And most of you are like, what the hell is she talking about? Well, this year is a very important year for some of us. The 18th of December is a very important date for me because it's my wedding anniversary. It's my 10th wedding anniversary, and I'm absolutely delighted that J.J. Abrams decided that launching his new movie on my wedding anniversary was a pretty cool thing to do. And on the 18th of December, Star Wars, the new movie, is coming out. Now, if you know anything about Star Wars and you've read around it, you will know it's likely to be the biggest grossing movie ever. If you're in any form of recruitment, then you really need to appreciate that potentially an interesting statistic of your community will be really engaged with this. They'll have watched the YouTube trailers. They'll understand what's going on. Yeah, that might make them geeks, but kind of they're the people that you're looking to recruit. And interestingly, 31% of the people on this webinar right now are as excited as I am. So that obviously helps me understand how I'm going to gauge this webinar as well. And funnily, I've got some previous content. So now you all know what's happening on the 18th of December. I'm obviously going to get a wedding anniversary card from each and every one of you. So you feel free to put that in your Outlook calendars. But more importantly, you also know what I'm going to be doing that evening. Me and my husband are obviously going to see Star Wars because it doesn't get any better than that. Trust me. So moving on, why are we here? Well, we're here because we're clever and we're here because we know that sourcing is great. But if I'm really honest, I get a bit fed up of hearing about sourcing. Because the thing about sourcing is that it takes time. It is necessary. I'm not suggesting you should stop, and I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't get training on it. But I do actually think that even though clever recruiters source, I just think that genius recruiters are the ones that use attraction. The challenge is with attraction, and sometimes clever working doesn't necessarily mean immediate results. So you're going to have to go with me on this. But the reason you've all logged on today is because you're interested to hear what I've got to say. And I work with recruiters every day on attracting talent, not just running out and grabbing it by the scruff of its neck. Because sometimes sourcing doesn't then turn into engagement, and that can be extremely frustrating. So funnily enough, we're obviously going to have a bit of a Star Wars theme today, if that's okay. So we're going to cover a lot, and I talk quickly. So I do expect you to want to keep up, to keep focused, to not answer the phone, to not look at your emails. Just leave all of that for an hour. Give yourself some time off to think about your business rather than just delivering it. Make sure you take loads of notes. I'm going to ask you some questions at the end just to test your knowledge. Right, so this is a typical recruiter, male or female, and the sort of problems that they might be feeling on a daily basis, and I'm sure there's probably more than 4. But I want you to tell me, please, out of all of the things that are in front of you right now on the poll screen, and you can tick more than one, ticking all 5 is a bit weird, but which of those statements maybe closely represent maybe how you feel sometimes, not all the time. Right, I'm going to close the poll. Let's just see how you all feel. Interesting this. 18% of you are being backdoored. So for those of you who think, what the hell is backdooring? It's when a candidate loves you to bits enough to attend an interview, but doesn't tell you they've got the job. And the client kind of forgets to let you know, and you're not quite hitting target, and you're wondering what's going on. They've gone through the back door. I've written a lot of content about this on my blogs. The direct hire model, I did a talk for the lovely APSCo a couple of years ago about resisting the pull of the direct hire model at their lovely annual conference. And really it was all about the fact that your clients are very good at setting their own tractor beams, another Star Wars analogy there, to suck talent in. And a lot of my clients have this issue right now that they're having to compete with their own clients and absolutely compete for talent attention. And obviously, sometimes my clients are going into meetings and the discussions around the need for recruiters have changed. So in my day, because I've been in recruitment since 2000, we didn't really need to discuss the reason that recruiters existed. We just needed to maybe renegotiate a little bit on pricing, upon duration, get the client to understand the sort of talent they were trying to attract, and then just crack on. Whereas a lot of my clients are now saying, do you know what, the dynamics changed? The conversations I'm having are around why I exist, as opposed to how quickly I can get the job done. And depending on how you've been along in recruitment, you will have seen that transition. And it is quite scary for some of my clients right now, especially it's not necessary. If you have something that someone else wants, you shouldn't need to explain why you're doing your job. But anyway, let's move on. And I'm interested in learning this because it helps me form an opinion throughout these webinars, which is why you'll often get questions from me about it. Now, this is where you need to go into your chat facility. And I want you to tell me what you do online on a daily basis to attract attention. And if you do things like take pictures of your bits with your phone and put that on Twitter, that's fine by me. Just let me know. You know, I'm open-minded. But what do you do to attract attention online? Just go into your chat facility, please. Got tweeting photos, lovely, blogs, not enough, I'm getting from people. I'm in charge of social media, says somebody. Good for you. Get a cake. Very little to nothing. Tweet industry updates, pictures, send daily newsletters, LinkedIn. Again, not enough. Use LinkedIn, Facebook photos, post jobs, pictures, news. Wow, you're all up to stuff. But obviously one of the things I want to happen today is you take some tangible takeaways. And this is why you having a notepad and pen and just jotting down or everything I'm telling you clearly and then choosing a few things that you're going to do differently. So case studies, lots of stuff coming on, tweeting pictures, mailers, newsletters, advertising, LinkedIn, Facebook, mail shots, tweet jobs, personal. Good. Okay. Having a personality online is flipping important. E-shots. Do you know what? E-shots work a treat these days if you do it right. We've kind of gone from outbound marketing, which is interrupt, to inbound, which is suck in. And I'm kind of saying, do a bit of both, really. If you've got clean data, do a bit of both. We'll talk about maybe that some other time. Right, so lots of you doing good stuff, which is lovely to see. Tell me how often you're posting content. I'm obviously going to start a poll on this one, so don't feel you have to chat to me about this. You're posting content, not jobs, content, on average weekly. Choose one of those options. And someone said to me, what is an e-shot? We'll deal with that later on, Lizzie. It's like, I suppose actually we'll deal with it now while people are clicking. It's like sending out a paper mailer but via email. So hitting lots of people at once. And if you're on our mailing list and you're receiving our weekly or monthly newsletter, then you'll know what we mean. And if you are not receiving our weekly or monthly newsletter, and we don't spam people, we just give stuff away, can you just put into your chat facility right now, newsletter please, and we will put you on our list of people to receive stuff. And there'll be invitations to other free events and blogs and videos to help you do your job better. Oh, lots of you are wanting the newsletter. That's lovely. Okay, most of you have voted, so I'm going to close the door. Okay, well, I think the moral of the story is you're not doing it enough, if you don't mind me saying so. I would suggest to you that you need to be showing your face with decent content once a day. Don't take your bat and ball home. You have 60 seconds a day in your diary to do the things that I'm going to show you today. Right, moving forward, tell me, on average, how many jobs you post weekly. Just go into your chat box and tell me. No poll's going to pop up for this. But how many jobs are you posting weekly? So how many live jobs do you have going at any given time that you're physically posting? And if you're not posting them, then don't tell me about it. We're looking at an average of between 5 and 7 from what I can see, with the odd person clearly stupid busy or with contract temp roles, etc. Right, I'm really sorry, but I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to Star Wars, and I've visited a lot of clients recently, and they're getting a bit used to this year's going to be a bit about Darth Vader, I'm afraid. I have t-shirts, I have shoes, and my children have outfits now, which is great. So the fact that you don't have enough content, the fact that you're not posting enough content is pretty disturbing, because interestingly enough, that's what your talent wants. Now, I'm going to make lots of sweeping statements today, but clearly we're going to give you some specific practical tips. I just want to get you in the zone. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about content, about what it should be about. We're going to talk about the mobile environment very quickly just to get you engaged in that. We're going to talk about the typical kinds of content you can create, where you can share it, the fact that size matters as well, and some practical tips, as well as talking about jobs, because jobs are the most important content you will ever write. And interestingly, across the bar, they are the content you spend the least time on, which is not good, really. And when I say you, I've not met you all, but it's in my experience of working with the recruiters in the UK. Okay, someone's going to a secret cinema. Kamal, we're going to catch up on this later. I need to hear about what this is. Right, so a great sourcing strategy. I get asked this a lot when I do social media strategy sessions with directors and recruiters. What's a great sourcing strategy? And I go, well, yeah, you could spend all day searching LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, blah, 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 blah. You could do some deep dive searching if you want to. And then you might even find that some of that data was originally on your CRM to begin with. It's just you maybe just didn't think to look, or you didn't have time, or traditionally your CRM's a bit pants. Or you can do a little bit of work to maybe attract talent that maybe doesn't want to work for you right now, but actually if you get them onto your little sticky spider's web, as you start kind of like sending vibrations through that, they'll be quite interested. Oh my God, I feel a blog coming on about spiders. So it's about attraction. And it's about looking for the right kinds of people. I can't get enough of this particular image. It does make me very excited. But really, seriously, recruiters, I really feel for you guys and gals right now, because in my day of recruitment back in 2000, tech didn't really exist for recruiters. I mean, job boards were kind of about, the web was kind of about, but did we have lots of tech? No. 2003 came out came LinkedIn, and I banned it in the recruitment business I worked in because I thought it was a distraction, and actually it was. And then computers started really coming in a lot more. Then you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got iPhones, you've got split screens. Like you only have one screen at work, but you've got a phone on your desk, so effectively you've got a dual screen system. You've got, you know, another distraction is potentially people that you work with who don't use tech that seem to make a lot of money, and you're like, so it's a flipping nightmare. There's so much tech and not enough time, and probably, dare I suggest, not enough routine or process. And again, it's all about doing things in a certain order and kind of getting to where you need to be. It's not complicated. So why do we need to attract attention, and why do we need to post? Well, in 2012, posting was very important, but LinkedIn told us back then that 79% of their database was passive, i.e. not actively searching for roles. So if you rang them, they'd probably be a bit nonchalant. But also the reasons for that were we were post-recession, and we probably weren't really moving around as much because we were quite happy where we were because we'd not been fired the first time round, so we were just holding on. Then in 2014, LinkedIn decided to redo their lovely little talent trend report, and the numbers have totally flipped. Now, obviously, things have moved on. People have become more aware of what's going on online. Legislation has changed, but they're definitely less likely to hang up on a recruiter, or less likely to hang up on a recruiter that's going to talk sense. And sense for the average candidate is about stuff that means something to them. So, you know, if this was a session where you're all in a room, I'd be asking you loads of questions, getting you really engaged. And some of the things I say today might not affect you, and that's brilliant. But this is based on all the recruiters I've worked with over the years. But ultimately as well, consider this. LinkedIn have done a massive survey, and it suggests that 44% of the people on LinkedIn regularly, daily, look for content to improve their day and help them in their career path. And moving jobs might not help them in their career path, but getting a promotion might. Running their appraisal system better, looking for legislation, an app that helps them travel quicker. I mean, please think about these things. I've written a blog recently on how to Jedi mind trick talent using Google Analytics, which sounds a bit technical, but ultimately it's like knowing what tech your talent is using to access your website, so you can aim content about that tech back at them. If you want to read that blog and you would like us to send it, type in Google Jedi into your chat facility, and at the end of this webinar you'll get an email with that blog in it, and it will give you some tips on, come on, you know, give people what they want, and where do you find out what they want? Because you can read loads of blogs, you can even listen to me speak. I don't know what your talent wants. I would never make that assumption. I will never generically blog about it. What I will say is find out, ask them. I asked you whether or not you're interested in Star Wars. I could maybe make up a stat that 31% of recruiters are excited about 18th of December. We already decided this morning, everybody, that we're going to run a Recruiter Jedi webinar on the 18th of December. If you're interested in that, type in Recruiter Jedi into your chat box and we'll make sure you get an invitation to that event. I have no idea what it's going to contain, but I'm going to be extremely excited. And if that's all you want for an hour just to start your day, then please join. And you can even put loads of exclamation marks at the end if you're as excited as I am. Tech people, accountants, teachers, social care workers, care about themselves. And it's not because they're selfish people, it's because that's why they get out of bed. They don't get out of bed to make you happy. They get out of bed to earn a crust, to pay their salary, to pay their mortgages, to look after their kids, to go out and get drunk. The content that you should be sharing should be about them, not you. And if you're currently going through my fabulous job adverts program right now, and some of you on the session have been on it, I'm recognizing names, you'll know how passionately I feel about this. We're going to talk about jobs at some stage this morning, but I'm interested just generically in content. What I'm interested in is you sharing content about the person that you want to read it. Yeah, you share content about you all day, and this is for the marketeers out there. Look at your content plans, please. If all you're doing is talking about your business, add more stuff that's not about your business, but about the people you want to attract into your business. So if you're trying to attract procurement professionals, you need to talk about buying cycles and things like that. If you're trying to attract accountants, you should talk about how to manage newly qualified accountants, how to re-qualify, how to manage graduate accountants, how to become a partner in an accountancy firm. Please take this advice and spin it into your own sectors. If you're, you could say, oh, you are trying to attract techies to talk about tech all day. Yeah, I kind of get that, but be more specific. Talk about business continuity planning, talk about coding, talk about next generation tech. Really think about it. And if you have no idea what your talent wants to see, look at what they're posting, because that is the ultimate secret sauce. If they're posting stuff, they care enough to press the share button, and that is the ultimate content plan for you guys. Okay. There's somebody here who's not spelt Jedi right. I'm really sorry. You can't come on my webinar until you get that nailed down. It does not have an H in it. Okay. So the content that you're going to be posting from today on is all about them. a little bit about you. If you go out on a date, okay, if you're single, can you give me a single in your chat box, please? By the way, I'm married. I'm certainly not looking to try and hitch up with anybody that says they're single. This is not a dating site. But if you're single, pop your name in. We could maybe share some of this outside the webinar and maybe put a few recruiters together. Although, interestingly, they're all women. Loads of single. And somebody said twice that they're single. They're clearly very, 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 very single. So when you're single, or even if you're not, when you go out on a date, you don't talk about yourself all night, because you probably don't get beyond first base, and you certainly don't get to a second date. You probably are very interested in the other person. You ask them lots of questions, and eventually it just becomes a bit of a more collaborative chat. Think about that from an online perspective. Another question I've got for you is, when do you actually stop working? Go into your chat box and tell me, when do you switch off your mobile phone? When do you actually stop working? Never in capital letters from Sam. Never exclamation mark from Chris. And think about this, please, because you are not abnormal. What I say when I say this, what I mean is your talent doesn't switch off either. Even when they're sat in a onesie between 8 and 10 in the evening, watching TV, maybe Gogglebox or Question Time or whatever the hell goes on TV. I don't get bloody time to watch it myself. I'm too busy. I'm still watching Breaking Bad, which is just shocking. But I want you to consider that whilst you've still not logged off, neither is your talent. But for some reason, the stuff that you all seem to be doing, from what I can see on chat, you're checking your emails, and that's fine. But you're probably not sharing content that's going to attract attention. And you're actually going to get a lot more engagement between the hours of 8 and 10 in the evening and over the weekends than you'll do during a working day, which is upsetting when you don't want to switch off, but actually very rewarding if you get it right. Think about when your talent is likely to be online. And the stats from the job boards, for example, tell us between 8 and 9 in the morning and 8 and 10 in the evening. LinkedIn tells us that the use of iPads goes mental after 7 o'clock at night. So any theories you've got about what your talent is doing, maybe right or wrong, I don't know. But those stats are relatively generic. You may need to ask the question. Now, this is a very personal question. Think before you type. But when are you most engaged with your phone? Write it down in the chat box, please. Think about it. When are you most engaged with it? What are you doing? Not when, what time, but what are you doing when you've got your phone in your hand and you are most engaged with it? Okay, so I'm going to read some of these out. Commuting, walking, calling out. On the toilet, on the toilet, on the toilet, on the loo, Skype, on Facebook, speaking on it, social media, on Instagram, on the toilet, on a coffee break, looking at Twitter, reading articles, talking to friends, on the loo, in the bath. Jackie, you have a waterproof phone. So do I. On the go social media when I get home from work, WhatsApp. The point I'm trying to make is, not just what are you doing with your phone, but what environment are you in? And again, I'd like to think you are normal people. God forbid I've attracted a load of crazy people onto my webinar. That's a USP in itself. But think about what you're doing and when you're most engaged with it. I personally don't use my phone on the toilet, but actually lots and lots of people do. So think about the fact that when you are most engaged with your phone is not the following. You've not cleared your desk. You've not buttoned up your suit and tightened your tie. You've not put your phone in front of you and said, I am now going to surf the interweb on my mobile device. That's not what you do. You're doing it while you're doing lots of other things. And that is very, very similar to everyone else out there. Look up. Look at people around you. Are they using their mobile phones while doing 15 other things? Are they walking down the street? Are they in an elevator, on an escalator, pushing a pram, pushing a swing, doing the shopping, going for a run? They're doing loads of stuff while they're using their phone. And the point I'm trying to make is this. They're not engaged with it. So whatever you share and whatever you do and whatever you say that's going to be accessed by a mobile device has to be bloody amazing. Now, don't feel under any pressure when I say this, but just be under pressure to just post stuff that's going to engage the people that you want to read it. And interestingly, stuff about the average job and recruitment agency ain't engaging. It's not because it's not good, it's just candidates don't care about it necessarily. So that's something to think about. The other thing to consider as well is that most of the time candidates are going to be engaging with you using their mobile device. And the challenge that we've got just with any kind of device before we talk about mobiles is that we actually read 25% slower online. It's a stat I quote a lot. And the idea of this is 25% slower online because our retinas are just not, we're not sophisticated enough creatures to actually read well online. It's just a fact. That's how we're built. But we are very sophisticated to read paper. which is why you'll see people kind of flicking more slowly through a magazine. But if you get a mobile device, it's literally, and I'm doing it, you can't see me, bless you, but you literally flick, 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 you know, scroll, scroll, scroll. The other thing to consider is we do actually do a huge amount of work on our devices. 65% of emails read on our mobile phone. And those of you that actually work a lot in the evening, that's, you know, you get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you might not actually plug your phone in beside your bed until 11:30, and that phone has probably not left your person, or it's been charging, it's been in your pocket. So actually you've probably done another 5 hours of work since then. So think about 73% of searches also happen on a mobile device, which is very, very interesting, because what we're saying is job searches, if a lot of them are happening via mobile and your jobs take forever to read, or they were written, or the style was written for the Sunday Times back in 1872, then that's obviously not ideal. Now, 84% of us that have a smartphone also have it on our laps while we're watching TV in the evening. And I want you to think about this. Between 8 and 10, what are you all wearing? In the evening, that is. 8 and 10 in the evening, everyone. Go to your chat facility. Tell me what you're actually wearing in the evening. Pajamas, pajamas, PJs. Nothing. Naked. Sam, how disgusting. Naked TV watching. Slacks, says Michelle. PJs. Nothing but my tiara, says Bryony. Oh my goodness, I have images. Batman onesie. Oh, flipping out, I love that. I've just ordered myself a Star Wars one, but you probably guessed that anyway. Still doing kids taxi. Morag, I feel your pain. That's Saturday mornings for me between 9 and 10. It's shouting taxi, I call it now, Morag. Get in the car, get in the car, get out the car, get out the car. Sweatpants, comfy tracksuit bottoms, tumble costume. Someone's got a Darth Vader costume. Stephen, I have an image now. Again, would you suggest that you're abnormal? I would actually suggest you're totally normal. This is what most people are doing. So 84% of people are sat surfing between 8 and 10 in the evening, not wearing a suit. What I mean by this is they're casual, they're feeling casual, they're reading casual stuff. That doesn't mean, by the way, that they don't go and look at jobs. Let's imagine you share some interesting content that they read, either Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And they start looking at you, looking at your profile. They're in the onesie, looking at your profile. And then they see your jobs. And all of a sudden they become a job hunter. That's kind of what happens. When was the last time any of you picked up your mobile device and said, I'm going to search the interweb for the latest colour or the latest fashion trend in shoes. And when I'm finished, I will come off the interweb and I will go back to what I was doing before. Nobody knows what the hell it is they do with their mobile phones these days, because I start surfing and before I know it, I'm doing something completely different with the same device. I've ended up down the labyrinth. I've spent minutes, days, hours, whatever you want to call it, doing stuff that I never even thought I needed to do. And God help you, recruiters, if you don't capitalize on this. So get rid of these myths and legends that people don't search for jobs in the evening, because they absolutely do, even if they're passive. And while they're doing it, they're not wearing work clothes, which means they're not in a work zone, which means the content that you share needs to not necessarily be about jobs, 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 work, work, work. You hear lots of people not talking about jobs all day long, but you get very little advice about what to share. And if you do get advice, it's still industry insights. I'm like, come on, let's get better than this. I know if I share stuff with Star Wars, it gets retweeted. And it's not because I'm some sort of weird junkie. I did play a trick on you in the beginning, but I've done my research. And I know if I put a Star Wars hashtag in, I'm going to get loads of retweets. And I'm just wanting to be a bit clever because I haven't got time to be super, super amazing at this 24 hours a day because I've got clients to keep happy. I have exactly the same objections as you. So please remember, and I'm preaching now, what people are wearing, where they are when you want them to read their content, and adjust your content accordingly. Here's a survey. 87% of male recruiters loose surf. Did you know that? And interestingly, some women, but I'm not going to quote that stat because we're ladies. But out of all of the webinars I've run and all of the face-to-face sessions I've run, this is my stat. And maybe this is the quote of the day. 87% of male recruiters, and loose surf is a term that I created this morning. So God forbid if we create a hashtag from this. But just consider, please, and what a cute pretty cat. I'm hoping it's not stuck, otherwise that would be kind of wrong. But I typed in loose surf on Google into Google Images, Creative Commons licensing, by the way, everyone's still going to get sued. And that's what came up. It's amazing what sort of images are out there. I just hope someone's not just stuffed their cat down the toilet and decided to take a picture, because that would just be wrong, but I'm grateful for them doing it. So if we know what people are likely to be doing when they're surfing, and by the way, I'm not suggesting that you aim toilet-related stuff at people when they're surfing, but just bear in mind they're quite relaxed and they're not necessarily in the work zone, that gets us far. Now, if we consider that a lot of stuff is happening with a mobile device, and then we expect people to apply for a job, Can anybody stab a guess at the percentage of applications that are made on a desktop? So I found the job on my mobile phone and then I have to apply for it. But actually, from a desktop perspective, laptops, etc., go into your chat facility and tell me what percentage of applications you think are made from a desktop device. And the stat I'm going to give you comes from Broadbean, and we all love Broadbean, don't we? And you're all wrong, because it's 93%. And the world stops turning. Oh my God, 93%. In other words, well, you tell me, why is it that we get so many people surfing mobile and then they have to brush the dust off of their PC or that laptop to apply for the job? Why are they having to do that? Tell me on your chat facility why they need to do that. Yep, CVs are stored on desktops, ability to attach the CV. Do you know what? I'm not going to give you a stat, but I'm pretty disgusted at the amount of recruiters out there that don't actually apply for their own jobs to see what a ball ache it is. That's me slapping the recruitment industry around a little bit. I was actually at an event yesterday in Leeds talking to a load of recruitment leaders about this, and one of them suggested that they've made their process as difficult as they can because they want to attract people who are really serious about applying. I'm not suggesting that people who are serious about applying are actually good talent. I don't know about you. There's lots of people out there that are really serious about doing your jobs for you. It doesn't mean they're any good. I want to make the process appropriate. I want to make the advert appropriate. And I want to make the way that they apply appropriate. And that doesn't necessarily mean making it difficult. Sometimes the best talent are not active. Sometimes the best talent found your blog, read it, thought it was hysterical or really, really insightful, and then thought, do you know what, I keep seeing this Jackie. He keeps posting really good stuff. I'm just going to check him out on LinkedIn. And do you know what, actually, yeah, that job he's just posted. I have been thinking about this, but I've just not had time to do anything about it. I think I'm going to apply. Oh, hold on a minute. Now I've got to basically do all of this stuff in order to get my application made. And I do suggest to recruiters that they have almost like an interim process where you can register interest for a job, just so the recruiter can say, do you know what, actually, you look like we can take you forward. Yeah, let's have a chat. As opposed to you need to be wearing pink knickers on a Thursday and have your CV written in Esperanto before I'll even look at it. Think about this. If the process is I'm using my mobile device to search for jobs and I'm the right person, then you need to make the job application process easier and the sifting process easier, but you also need to make the job extremely explicit. And the market still has to change its approach to that. That's a lecture. Let's move on and get a little bit more Star Warsy again in a second, shall we? So think about your content types, because if you are going to share content, if you are going to attract talent to you, and you are going to be known for what you say you stand for on your LinkedIn profile, then you obviously need to think about things. Now, do I think that every recruitment consultant out there should be doing all of this? Actually, no. So recruitment leaders and marketers, don't be scared, because I actually think billers need to bill. But do I think they need to find good content? Yes. If you're a marketeer trying to get your recruiters to create great content, I kind of wince at that a little bit. And it's not because I don't think recruiters can create good content. I think it's a really difficult ask when they have so many other things to do. I think asking them to contribute something, yes, but we can have a discussion about that in another day. The reason I've written boring blogs is I do actually think in today's day and age, if all you can do is write a blog and not make it look more interesting than that by taking that content and then squirting it into a different format, I think we need to try a bit harder. We write boring blogs, but we at least get some images inside them, and we also make sure that we turn them occasionally into memes or minis, word clouds, infographics, and also cards. Now, please be careful. There's lots of lovely websites out there that will create lots of lovely, lovely stuff, and then you'll get sued. We don't want that to happen. We are going to be publishing a blog soon about a free images blog that's going to basically give you lots of places that you can go to get free images. So look out for that. But it is worth bearing in mind that some of the terms and conditions on some of the websites don't allow you to use them to sell. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use them to make people laugh. It doesn't mean you can't use them to invite them to a free event. But when it comes to advertising jobs, things that you're going to make money from, you've got to be very, very careful. But there are some sites out there that don't give us stuff. And your job is to figure out those, or wait until we've published this blog in the next couple of weeks where we're going to be looking out for that. So please keep your eye out for that. Another one of my clients has decided that the cards thing on the right-hand side that you'll see regularly through SoMe cards, and you see these a lot, that one thing you may want to do is get a designer for a couple of £100 just to create a couple for you with your own company colours, and then you can type onto them at your leisure, and then you're not breaking any laws at all. Worth thinking about. But don't just stick with a boring blog and go, yeah, I've nailed it, because you haven't. Images sell content. You put an image with a social media update, you increase engagement by 50%. Please buy that stat. It's really, really important. Alternatively, don't create a bloody thing. Nick it, yeah? There's enough content out there. Now, I'm not suggesting you should never create content, but I do say to a lot of my recruiters who are trying to object to what I'm asking them to do, and the way I handle that objection is I say, okay then, I respect the fact that you are stupidly busy. You've got 1,500 contractors. You've got to keep them churning. You've got to get new business in, or you've got temps phoning in every 5 seconds, etc. But obviously, if you've got an hour to be on a webinar and listen to me, you've got 10 minutes a day to look at content, and we'll talk about this in a second. But look at content. Being known for what you share is just as important as being known for what you create. I'm not convinced that your talent or client database gives a damn that you create anything. I think they give a damn that you know your stuff. And you can demonstrate what you know from what you share as well as what you write. So cut yourself a bit of slack. And I also find as well, the average marketeer out there is desperately trying to create lots of content. And absolutely, I applaud you. And some of you are on this call right now, and you'll know what I'm about to say. I'm a big fan of less content created, more content shared. Yeah, and Barclay Jones has been guilty of that as well. We've got so much to say, but sometimes what we've done in the past is we've created stuff and not told enough people about it. So it's a bit like shouting into the wind, really, isn't it? It doesn't quite work. So think about what you can find online. So do you have all the gear and no idea? Do you have access to loads of systems, but you've not got really any idea about how to get traction from them? Well, we want you to obviously find content. And actually finding content will help you create it because you can comment on stuff. Check your pulse on LinkedIn regularly, please. There's a button called Pulse on your homepage. No excuses. You can even program it to show you stuff that your candidates and clients want to see. God forbid you're only sharing what I call junk food content. Junk food content is 10 things to wear to an interview, 10 colours that are going to really impress an interviewer, 10 questions to ask in an interview. It's all job related. Come on, do better. The reason I call it junk food content is because I don't have a McDonald's every day, even though I'm hungry, because I know that it's going to make me go a little bit mental. But sometimes I need to sustain myself, and sometimes I might just do it because I'm in a panic, and actually afterwards I feel a little bit violated. I'm not saying McDonald's are bad. We've all done it. We've just had a Five Guys burger house open up in Leeds. It is going to be the death of me. But I'm not going to have one of those every day. But when I do have one, I'm going to really enjoy it. But the rest of the time, I'm going to be really thinking about my diet. Think about the same thing from a content perspective, please. And while you're at it, tell me what your ultimate junk food is. If you could really, like it's nearly lunchtime, isn't it? And I'm salivating here. It's Friday. Let's pretend you've got a fiver to nip out right now. What would be the nastiest junk food you want to get your chops around? Someone's got me a cheeky Nando's, Domino's pizza, katsu curry's all right, Bonnie. Someone's saying Cheetos. Someone's saying an apple. Stephen, weren't you the guy that dresses up as Darth Vader as well? I don't think Darth Vader eats apples, does he? I'm not convinced by this. Crisp sandwiches. Lizzie, sandwich spread with salt and vinegar crisps in a sandwich. Seriously. Seriously. Right. And Ruth, fish finger butty. I think you have my respect for that. I've got soup today. I'm training for a marathon. That's all I'm going to say. I want you to create a home feed which feeds you. And what I mean by this is if you dare to use Twitter, and God help you if you don't, because I'm going to give you a Paddington Bear stare, and I run Twitter webinars all the time. Please get yourself booked into the next one. Make sure you're watching Twitter. Think about, please, Twitter feeding you great content. Follow people that feed you good stuff. Make sure your home feed on LinkedIn feeds you great stuff. Did you know there's a hide button after every single update on LinkedIn? Hover over the update, the hide button will appear, and you can get rid of the stuff that you want to follow people, but you don't want to hear them. And then ultimately what happens is your LinkedIn and your Twitter feeds feed you your breakfast. So there's an argument to say that twice a day for 1 minute, you check your feed, you do a bit of retweeting, a bit of sharing, a bit of commenting. Don't just stroke people's hair, say you've got lovely hair, you've got lovely hair. Don't just stroke it silently like a stalker. Make a comment, press reply, God help you. You're at a conference, you won't just nod, you'll say, yeah, that's really good, I really like that. Or number 10 on that list was the best one. So check your pulse, create a homepage which feeds you. Don't follow everything in a skirt. It makes life very complicated. And you might even decide to use a system called Feedly. And I'm not going to talk about it in any depth because it's too easy to use. And those of you who've been on some of my training courses will have seen this. Feedly will allow you to follow web-based news about sectors and stuff like that. You can follow certain blogs and then you can just push those out. It's gorgeous, but please use your mobile. Because actually your mobile apps for LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., I think are really easy to use in comparison to the desktops. And you can just be pushing stuff out left, right and centre. And by the way, that's only if you use LinkedIn and Twitter. God forbid you have a YouTube account. And by the way, if you have a Google account, which you probably do, you're just not using it, YouTube is part of that. I think the best recruiters out there would never ever need to create a video, because you find great video content and you share it. Really, video content rocks when it comes to online sharing and people engaging with that. So really think practically about finding content before you try and flog yourself over creating it. And I'm not saying never create it, but I'm trying to give you an easy route out here just to attract attention, because that's what this webinar is about. We want you to attract attention. But obviously, where do you share it? Now, we've just started working with clients on Instagram, and we're a bit excited about the results we're getting. That's all I will say for now. We're going to be launching Instagram from a recruiter perspective in the next few weeks. We've been keeping a bit quiet about it because we want to see how it's working for people. Some recruiters have it, and most of them are getting zero from it. And there's reasons for that. We want to talk about that later on. We might even do a webinar on Instagram at some stage. But obviously, you've got a number of different channels that you can share content through. If you're just a standard, bless you, recruitment consultant, do I think you should have a slideshow and a Pinterest account? Probably not. Do I think you should have your own YouTube account? Yes, for sharing. Facebook, we'll have a debate about that another day, but those of you who work with me know that I think Facebook is not a private space. I don't treat it like one. But when it comes to sharing, definitely please get on board with Twitter. And obviously Google Plus could be a couple of extra seconds per day. Do I think that Google Plus is a fabulous sourcing tool? No. That's my personal opinion. But do I think that LinkedIn and Twitter needs better engagement from the average person I work with? Yes. The ultimate thing to think about clearly, though, is your blog. And I know a lot of you blog already, but not enough of you get your content shared externally. And what I mean by this, and for those of you who work with me right now, you'll know that I've set you all the task of getting strategic partners in the blogging world. And what I mean by that is between 5 and 10 external bloggers. So for example, APSCo is one of mine. Hi, APSCo. And if I write some content and send it to them, they'll post it for me. And actually, their community is a damn sight bigger than mine. And that's good. So basically, I'm going to other people's parties and showing up as a guest, which is less hassle and more engaging. As marketeers, if you're a lovely marketeer, and I love marketeers, work with lots of them, on this webinar, please take this advice, because people don't necessarily wake up in the morning to think about what your business is talking about. They think about themselves, and they go to the places that they like to engage with. So choose between 5 or 6 strategic partners that you can work with and see how you get on with that. But I have between 5 and 10, and they all include recruitment-led content. So Recruiting Daily, Recruiter, UK Recruiter, Undercover Recruiter, etc. All of these lovely people, Global Recruiter, publish my content. And that's because you guys read it, which is helpful. So think about where to share it. Don't just create it and share it once. Keep going daily, weekly. Get on with it. Size matters as well, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure snigger, it's Friday, but size does matter. And here's some stats for you to really think about. This has come from Buffer. We'll talk about Buffer in a second. Oh, great. Somebody loves my Instagram. Thank you, Megan. But think about, please, that, yes, you can tweet up to 140 characters, but Buffer tells us that actually, if you tweet less than 100 characters, you're going to get more engagement. Facebook, this is terrifying. Seriously. Put more than 40 characters, you decrease engagement. We need to think about that. So, but if you have to really go above 40 because you just can't get your message in 40 characters or less, then double it, and you'll get less engagement than 40, but you'll still get a good level of engagement. And Google Plus, and there's stats all over the place. LinkedIn haven't really published very much about this, which is why I don't have very much on this. But just think about those. It's less than you think. And again, it's all about mobile users being a bit, fastest finger first. They're reading, they can't read very much, so they want to see less. Think about that. Format matters as well, please. Obviously, images. I've been talking about this for over 12 months now, but images get twice the engagement than standard, boring, black and white copy. We know this because this slide looks really boring, but if I put an image on it, your eyes would go straight to the image. Tweets with hashtags get twice the engagement, but don't do more than 2, please. And if you ask for a retweet, as in a full-on retweet, you'll get 23 times more engagement. But if you ask for an RT, you'll only get 12. Again, be clever with this stuff. But if you add a link, according to Buffer, you get 86 times more engagement. Think about this on Twitter. People are online, and this is across all social media platforms, to be frank. People are online to learn stuff. They might not realize it, but they're on it to learn stuff. You give them a link where they can go and find more stuff out, rock and roll. That's what they want to see. And Buffer have done a lot of research on this to make sure that obviously they're getting you to use their system more effectively. Okay, lots of engagement on Twitter. Thank you very much, everybody. So any Buffers out there? Anybody in the Buff? Give me Buffer if you use Buffer, please, in your chat facility. Let's see who we've already converted into the Buffer zone. Yeah, a few buffers here. Somebody's going Hootsuite. Hootsuite's good. I'm a bit of a buffer girl, if I'm honest. This is the biggest challenge of you recruiters, and I said this right at the beginning. So much flipping tech, not enough time. Really think about this, please. Buffer will allow you to schedule. We've talked about you sat in your onesie between 8 and 10. Am I suggesting that you completely eradicate your day into just work? No. How do I suggest to some of my recruitment lead clients that they start segmenting their days into shifts? So 6 till 2, 12 till 8, yes. If I ran a recruitment business, I'd absolutely go to a shift-based pattern so I can compensate for my talent and clients and when they're most likely to be engaged, absolutely. Certainly when I started in recruitment, we used to start at 7 o'clock in the morning and finish at 10 o'clock at night. Oh my God. Time hasn't really changed, just we're not in the office as much. We're obviously more mobile. But what we do need to do is schedule our tweets. And I can almost guarantee you schedule stuff to go out the weekend, it gets more reads. Absolutely more reads and more engagement. Less people are online at the weekend because they're doing other stuff, but the people that are more engaged. That's something to really, really think about. So buffer is a good bit of kit and it's free, which is helpful. Let's talk about the most important content you will ever write. We're doing a lot of work with clients right now on their job adverts. We were asked by a very precious client of ours last year to create a big program for their hundreds of recruiters to get them writing adverts better. And if I'm honest, I see lots of advert training courses out there and it's just keywords, 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 da, 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 da. Keep it short, equal opportunities, and I'm like, whatever. We're all a bit bored of this. So we've developed a program to totally turn it on its head, and we'll talk about that some other day. But the thing that we found when we've been training everyone is they've admitted to either never having any training, or if they have had any training, it results in a 5-minute job advert nightmare. In other words, they're taking 5 minutes to write a job probably 2 or 3 days after they've received the spec from the client. Not good enough. It's the most important content you will ever write. And obviously we've already talked about the fact that 93% of job applications come from a desktop device. So we've got to respect the fact that actually, if I'm looking at your job via my mobile, I'm on the bus on the way home, let's imagine, and I see a job and it looks pretty cool, and I might even be active, might be passive, we don't really know this. I get off the bus, and as I walk down the street, I'm really engaged. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to apply for this job, I'm going to apply for this job, I'm going to apply for this job. And then I go into my house, and I grab the post, and I grab a beer, or I grab one of my children, and I fling them in the bath. And then maybe the cat's sick on the floor, or whatever it is that happens to us when we walk in the door. For some of us, it's not plain sailing. For some of us, there's a stupid amount of disruption that stops me from applying, even if I'm the best candidate, because we make it hard. And I want you to think about this, please, that what is so special about your job that's going to keep me focused throughout the chaos that is the 6 till 7, what I call witching hour, if you have children. Think about that. So your jobs have a job in themselves, and obviously they are to make you money, but there's a journey that job could take you and your talent on, which isn't just about placements. It's about improving your profile views, because ultimately, don't you want to attract leads? Don't you want more people to look at you so you can do something interesting with that information? Don't you want to put your clients back in their boxes? Don't you want to stop these silly conversations about how you spend your day and what you do with their fee? Don't you want to advertise so beautifully that you attract more clients and obviously keep the clients you've got because they go, do you know what, that Jackie knows what he's doing, I'm going to leave him to it. We want to stop these silly discussions about why recruiters exist. Don't you want to attract other recruiters into your own business? Don't you want them to go, hold on a minute, they're doing some pretty funky stuff here. I'm not allowed to do this in my business. Or I don't have the support because I don't have any great marketeers in my business. We are working with recruiters right now on their internal recruitment strategies, and one of the things we're doing is just basically saying you need to demonstrate what you do really, really well and not just keep it to the internal training that you run. I get that you want to make more placements. I get that you want to increase your web hits and applications, but your job has to work a lot harder than that. It's not just about the placement, it's about the journey you take passives on, and I include contacts in that and clients in that. The passives are the new black. And I'm a bit sick of seeing our client is competitive salary and we're looking for, and I absolutely get why recruiters do this. And I do feel that when you're competing against competitors and you don't want them licking your stuff, that you do have a challenge. But that doesn't stop the fact that 91% of talent out there would prefer to see a brand on the job before even looking at it. And, you know, whether I'm right or wrong on this, the point is doing a bit of split testing and looking at advertising a job with all of this secret information on, and doing it without could be quite helpful for you to see whether or not you place that job any quicker, you secure the client's interest because you do a better job than everyone else, and you obviously get more passive saying, do you know what, if he's constantly out recruiting for this company and I think they're going to be on my radar soon, I need to be in Jackie's contact list, otherwise it's, you know, it's going to take me too long to move through my career. So I really want you to think about just focusing on your jobs as the most important part of your content. As much as I'm saying to you, don't post jobs all the time, for those of you that are job monkeys, your jobs need to get better because they are extremely important content. Now, when LinkedIn did their lovely talent trends report a couple of years, well, I said a couple of years ago, a year ago now, or yeah, just over a year ago, they did look at people and what they wanted to find in a job advert. And all of this will be available outside of this webinar on YouTube. You'll get a link to it later on. But just bear in mind that the secret sauce for passives and actives is a little bit different, isn't it? You know, passives will turn their head to salaries and benefits, whereas people who are active, the salary and benefits thing isn't as important as they want better prospects. God forbid you put all that information at the bottom of an advert. But equally, and this is generic, so if you're on social care, education, accountancy, etc., you need to kind of maybe do a little bit of work on this yourself, but actually having a better job title doesn't really float anyone's boat. Job security might not be that important. So have a think about those things, because that's when you're writing your job adverts, and your content, the content that you're sharing needs to be attractive to people whether they're looking for jobs or not. But what you need to do is you need to be measuring what you're doing. So as much as I'm saying to you in summary, you got to post more, you've got to attract more attention. And even if you don't have time to create content, you should be spending a couple of minutes a day finding it. And then you should be deciding where you're posting it and the size and format of those posts. You've then got to look back and go, well, actually, did that work? Because you can read lots of blogs. There is no one shoe fits all approach to this. I'm really sorry, everyone. You've all got different styles. I've got I think a bit of a funky style online, and I get away with that. Not everyone can do that. That's your call. It depends what sector you're in. I tend to find most recruiters I work with are really good fun, really intelligent, and like to have a bit of a, you know, a muck around sometimes, so I'll post the odd thing, but the majority of the time it's content for them. But I regularly look at my Twitter analytics. I regularly look at my publisher stats, and I regularly look at who's viewing my profile. And I don't just look for the names of people. I look at whether or not, as a result of posting something, my profile stats fly up. And when I work with recruiters on their strategies, I also look at them studying those stats as well, so they can start looking at what kinds of content are going to do them the best good. Best good, terrible grammar. Let's move on. Thank you, Megan. I've just seen the Star Wars selfie on Twitter. Very clever. So think about everything that I've said today. It's not all about you, but it can be if you get people engaged enough. They'll love it if it is once you've got them engaged. It is about mobile. It is about what to create and where to share it and the format and all of that stuff. Got to get practical with these things, and it's definitely about jobs. Never not share jobs, just to make sure they're interesting. So quickly, go into your chat facility. What are you going to do differently now you've been listening to me wibbling on at you for an hour? What are you taking away from today's session? What are you going to do differently? Someone's going to get a Nando's. I think I am as well. When the new Star Wars film was released on the 18th of December, so you've got a little bit of time, Bryony, to catch up on the other 6, although for us older ones, you don't need to worry about 1 through 3. People are saying share more images, share your stuff, definitely. Use Feedly and use Twitter. Tweet, content between 8 and 10. Oh my God, you're flying at me now. I'm trying to read everything out. Images. Follow less people. Follow the right people. We've actually done a follow a wonk video. Check out our YouTube channel, please, everyone. We've done a follow a wonk video on how to find people who share the best content. Influencers, they're called. That will absolutely nail down your follower community within seconds. Look at your own jobs and try and apply for them. Look at your mobile devices. Look at how you're going to use your mobile devices. Shorter comments. Yes, well done on that. That's good. Improve your job ad mic. Absolutely agree. 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. More status updates, and use 91% of people looking for the brand. So obviously they're looking for more interesting information in the job. Lots of video, definitely video, please, because we all love it when we see it. Be different, absolutely. Get rid of those question marks. Chris, you have to be different. Okay, brilliant, everybody. Please subscribe to our blog. Yoda tells you to. We publish stuff about twice a week that's going to make your day. Obviously, we have a lovely YouTube channel as well. We're regularly putting content on that we've created or we've found that we think is pretty cool, that helps recruiters. Obviously, we have a number of other sort of social media channels as well. So if you're really engaged with this stuff, go for it. We're about to launch our Instagram channel, so it's not here. But if you want to go to our current site, it's Barclay Jones. So Instagram.com/Barclay Jones. Get on it. My name is Lisa Jones. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, send me an invite. I'd be delighted to accept. I'll hopefully see you on Twitter, and I'll hopefully see you on June 26th on my social media strategy webinar. Please get yourself logged in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Lovely to see everyone. You are all really engaged, especially those on Twitter. You get a secret sticker for that. Thank you very much, everyone. See you very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.